than anybody else on the desk here.
I go to maybe one a year.
Yeah,
so.
I go to one or two a year, maybe.
Yeah, I go to a lot. I agree with. I mean, Jordan Hare is in the mix. Florida Field, Neyland, Tiger Stadium, Kyle Field. Those are unbelievable atmospheres.
See, I think Kyle Field's probably the most overrated.
Well, not when it comes to atmosphere. When it comes to winning big games, I understand that. But the atmosphere is intimidating. It's really, really a wonderful atmosphere. Current, looking at the records, as Brown says, longest win streaks in the country right now. On top of the list, the Georgia Bulldogs have won 32 straight at home. Washington, 20 straight. Oregon, 15 straight. Fourth in the country, tied Boise State and Alabama with 12-game home win streaks. But Georgia never gets talked about as a crazy home field advantage.
I turn on a lot of Georgia games, and I see a bunch of empty seats in the upper deck. I mean, it is what it is. Now, if it's a big game, they come out. Now, look, Georgia and Alabama are going to be good anywhere. They're the best teams in the SEC over the last 20 years. So they're going to be good anywhere. So I get that they're going to win a lot of home games. But when I watch games at Sanford Stadium, it just doesn't seem like that intimidating a place to play, other than the fact that the team's really good.
That's why Alabama
by the third quarter, though, the game's over.
Yeah.
Well, no, this is at the start of the game. I've turned on a lot of Georgia games, and that upper deck in the corner and into the end zone is empty. I'm almost certain that is student overflow.
Yeah. In one section it is.
Yeah, one section it is, student overflow. But that is part of it. And, hey, look, it's one thing Nick Saban faulted Alabama was not necessarily that it was empty to start the game, that it was empty to end the game. But that's normally Alabama was up 40 at that point.
I'll go back. I told this to Forrester. He was telling me that you were getting in some debate on social media about your list, and I was like, is it Alabama at 2? Because that's the one that jumped for me.
Welcome in to the Pennant Grace for your winning ball club, the Atlanta Braves. My name is Ush. My partner is sun-kissed and shining Emily Grace McWhorter on the beaches of 30A. And if it's not Augusta National or Truist Park, this is the happy place for my broadcast partner. Is that correct?
Hey, man, I do have a hat on. Ush makes fun of me for my hat wearing, but I'm all about the sun protection.
Yeah.
Weather is beautiful down here. The water is perfect. Miss you and wish you were here, Ush. It's not the same.
I miss you too. We were talking about that yesterday. We go a few days, and I'm like, I felt like I hadn't seen you in a year. Where are you? So
literally, it's true. I haven't seen you in over a week now. This is kind of crazy.
You go to about 4 weddings a week.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of disrupted our schedule a little bit. Welcome into the show on a nice Tuesday. We have Scott Forster and Tim Melton behind the glass, and we are celebrating today. I'm celebrating, you check that out, I'm celebrating in style, e.g., with Roback. And this is a big, big week for Roback because Sunday is Father's Day. No better gift for Dad than the gift of Roback. For those that crave activity, Roback.com. On your first order, enter code PG20, and it's going to save you 20% off your entire order. Make Dad happy, and then make yourself happy by saving a little money. Roback.com, code PG20. Emily Grace, the Braves won a baseball game last night.
It got a little rough there. It was quite the stretch. I hope you guys enjoyed Ush's post-game reactions. The Braves, we didn't think they could hit rock bottom more so than they did, but they did. And last night, though, dare I say, this might be controversial, hot takes with EG, that was one of the most complete games I've seen from the Atlanta Braves this season easily.
Now, I agree with that. That's a great point. And I really liked that it was, like you said, it was a complete game. The other thing is you have, to me, your two best players, Chris Sale and Ronald Acuna Jr. So Chris Sale, incredible performance, and then Ronald Acuna Jr., obviously, with the big Ronnie Rocket helping to lead that offense. That was really cool to see. So you mentioned rock bottom. Rock bottom actually happened We just didn't know it at the time. When EG was sitting in this very seat doing the now famous Ask EG Anything episode, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And she was like, hey, by the way, Braves are cruising right now. Everything's going
This is
okay.
so awesome.
EG then goes on the Meltdown. By the way, Monday through Friday, 2 o'clock Central, the Meltdown. Be sure to check them out. EG's on the Meltdown later that day. Tim and Tyler mentioned, hey, you may want to check on the Braves right now. And to me, there's been lows. We'll get to Saturday here in a second because it hurt extra special. Thursday was the low to me.
Yeah. I mean, and it was funny because my title for Ask EG Anything consisted of, Ask EG Anything, whatever. But then there's also, offense is nowhere to be found. And so I'm sitting in studio and suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, we found the offense. This is amazing. We are celebrating whilst talking about my history as a broadcaster here. We're not really paying attention to the game because the Braves are up. Not so fast. The Braves offense was in fact lost. And but also everything else was lost too.
Yeah, so that was a bullpen collapse. The offense gave you enough in that one for sure. Bullpen completely falls apart. And that intensifies what is being said out there amongst
out there in the ether,
the people. We're all about the people here. So a lot of Brian Snitker talk, a lot of Alex Anthopoulos talk.
Yeah. And it was one of those things where I think that the Braves have been in so many winning positions this season. And we talked about it last week. We said the Braves consistently find themselves in one-run games that they're dropping. So it's not like the Braves are completely out of it. But then you have Thursday's game where you're thinking, okay, here we go. This is awesome. This is a bounce back. And it's like you lose it in such an awful way. Your offense comes to life. People are thinking, look, we're back. And then it's the bullpen, which has been an issue all season.
Yes.
They've received lots of criticism about it.
Yeah.
And the culmination of that, I think, really disappointed Braves country in a way that I don't think we previously thought possible, which is even more disappointing because we thought we had hit rock bottom.
We did.
Not so fast. Thursday's game happens. And, but look, the Braves give us hope again last night.
So here's the thing. Here's where you're hearing a lot. This skid is very reminiscent of the skid we saw where, is that 2017, where Freddie Gonzalez was fired and Brian Snitker took over.
Middle of the season, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you look at the numbers, they're very, very close. I understand the Snitker criticism, but great points made by David O'Brien, his Braves beat writer for The Athletic. He's been covering the team for as long as I can remember. I trust
excellent.
His knowledge and judgment of the Atlanta Braves as much as anyone. I'm sure you agree.
Yeah.
We've talked about that.
We have. He's a great follow, too, on social media, along with the Pennant Grace, but you can't go wrong with him, incorporating him in your rotation.
So here's what DOB says. Someone's like, time for Snitker to go, right? And he said, the fault of this team is not on Brian Snitker. Just like, by the way, the 2021 World Series was not due to Brian Snitker. He said, here's why this is not Snitker's fault. And I'm paraphrasing, obviously. He hasn't lost the clubhouse. The guys aren't not playing hard for him. There's not trouble behind the scenes, and he's in there. He's in the clubhouse covering the team, so he's seeing all these things. It's not a culture shift. So what's the problem, Dave? He said what we talked about Tuesday. The guys are not producing. The guys are not producing at the level that they're expected to and paid to produce. That is the problem. Yes, off-season moves should have been made, particularly to the bullpen that weren't. I put that on Anthopoulos. But the major issue is on that lineup not producing the way that they should be producing. Even calls for Anthopoulos' head, which to me is the most ludicrous overreaction I have seen in all of this. This guy has been tremendous in the deals that he's brought, in building a team that has been in the postseason every year since 2018 and has a World Series championship to it. Only their second since they've been in Atlanta. And so I'm not on board with that at all.
Well, we definitely are a half glass full show with the Pennant Grace, but I think that I'll be the first to admit, what David O'Brien said, I never even really considered because he makes a great point. The clubhouse has not been lost by Snit. And I don't know about you, Ush, but truthfully, and I'm sitting here, I never considered that angle of it. And obviously, we say it a lot on this show, we're not in the clubhouse. That's something he would know. And I think at the end of the day, if these players are still playing hard for Brian Snitker is where he needs to be.
I
right?
agree.
Snit is where he needs to be. And the criticism that he's facing, in some ways, I feel like there's a microscope on him right now, and there's a lot of undue moments that are being revealed. For example, the whole injury situation, not noticing something, not kind of getting into it at the plate. You can say all of that, but at the end of the day, if the clubhouse is still bought into Snit, that says a lot.
And I think we were appropriately critical of that.
Yeah.
He's in his 49th season with the organization. I still think it's his last, if I had to guess. But I think and hope he finishes the season out. And I don't want to hear any of this Anthopoulos talk. I don't even entertain that. To me, that is absurd.
Yeah, I think that, when you look back cumulatively, Anthopoulos has been so incredibly consistent. Now, I do think, like you, Ush, off-season moves should have been made. The Profar thing is a very bad taste in everyone's mouth. Absolutely.
It is.
But, okay, take away these last 2 seasons. I would say his approval rate from Braves country, if we're going to talk about him as a politician, upwards 80, 90%, easily. Now, I'd be curious to take that poll right now, but I do think the way that these games are being lost and how it's almost so obvious, like the bullpen should have been bolstered in the offseason, things like that. I think that's why he's receiving so much criticism. But there is no better person, in my opinion, to be in control than AA right now.
Yeah, the major issues in the offseason were on bullpen, shortstop, and then you saw some for starting pitching, but those were the two big ones. Shortstops worked out well, and defensively, the Braves are elite. I want to say they are bottom 2 or 3 in terms of errors. I mean, they've been really, really good defensively. Friend of the show, Robert Dean Sisk, a.k.a. my father, sent me a good article from Sports Illustrated quoting Ken Rosenthal, who covers Major League Baseball, also with The Athletic, and looking into – and Ken was just asking the question, and it's a fair question, and I hadn't thought about it. Anthopoulos got these guys in and was aggressive in locking them in.
Long-term deals was his priority.
Michael Harris II wins Rookie of the Year. Not long after, he's locked in. You make the move for Sean Murphy, and then you sign the extension, lock him in. Ronald Acuna Jr., Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Matt Olson. These guys are locked in. Has that hurt the team? Are they playing
complacent?
Yeah, so the possibility of that. I don't know. I think it's really hard for any of us to know because there's no signs of it other than poor play. But I do think it's a fair question. If nothing else, it's absolutely something to consider and ponder.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you look at the style of Anthopoulos, I personally like that, in my opinion. I think that when you have someone, a player that has potential, has good clubhouse energy, is a good teammate, why would you not, right? Why would you not secure them? Why would you not keep a good thing going, if you will? But I do see the argument that, if you know that you're in a Braves uniform for until 2028 or what have you, I think human nature would say you could get a little complacent. You could have a little bit of relaxation, a little bit too comfortable. But for me personally, I don't think we have said that, 2 years ago. I don't think that ever crossed our minds.
I agree.
And for every player to be experiencing that at once, that just, I don't think I can buy into that, but I do think it's an interesting conversation to have on shows like this to kind of go through, see what people think. But I'm in the camp of, I don't think it's complacency. I think that I am in support of those long-term deals. It's easier to say, I'm not, when we can see something trending poorly or when they ultimately don't work out.
something to marinate over, to ponder.
Yeah.
Just to think
Ponder.
about. What do you ponder when you're at the beach? Like, how much pondering is going on there? Is it like, do I get the grouper or the amberjack tonight at dinner? Am I going to go with the SPF 15 or the 30?
Or the 30.
Okay.
Am I going to reapply with lotion or spray?
Yeah.
Am I going to get in the water now? Am I going to grab lunch?
So I'm a 15 guy usually, unless I get really crispy, and I'm a spray guy. But they say when we were at the beach together, I learned it's best to apply the lotion first, which I was like, who uses the lotion? That went out with powdered wigs, but apparently it's still being used. And then you freshen up with the spray, maintain with the spray throughout the day. Is that accurate?
So because we're all family here on the Pennant Grace, I'm going to let you in on my greatest skincare secret, which is sunscreen, right? Before you leave the house, sunscreen up with lotion, head to toe. Do a 75, dare I say, 100, minimum 50 of lotion. Do it before you put on your bathing suit. You know what I mean? Get in the bathroom, lather, okay? Bathing suit on, cover up on, walk down to the beach. You are good to go until sunset. And just reapply with spray. And that's when you do your 15 and your 30s.
Okay. Any of the brown bottle, any of the oil that has the little bit of you use that too?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely. I have it. I feel like I don't gravitate towards it. I love it's a instant bronzer spray, and it's 30 SPF. It's incredible. So we can like link our favorite sunscreen recommendation from the Pennant Grace. I feel like we're both very qualified people to have that conversation. Wouldn't you agree?
I think you are. I think I'm qualified to just grab what's in the next to me and I'll spray it on and walk off. And I always get burned. And people are like, "Oh, sunburn, are you okay?" And I'm like, "What do you think that am I in a diaper here? I'm fine. I'm a grown man. I can handle a little sunburn." You always get burned. I always get burned on the first day. I'm kind of reddish anyway, so it always looks worse than it is. And I'm like, I'm fine. You know, a lot of body hair covers that up too, for me. So I got a lot of coverage just from that. So that's now I can, I'm seeing the numbers. They're dropping as we went into, but we talk fashion. We can talk skincare as well. The hardest one for me, I said Thursday was the low point, and it was. But the most painful, and it was Saturday. And so we were in Nashville. My niece Leela graduated and went to graduation and graduation party, which was great. And shout out to her. She'll be in Rocky Top attending Tennessee in the fall. And I timed it everything was perfect because as soon as I get back in the car, 3-hour drive back home, the game is about to start. So I got, my family's not going to be talking to me at all. So I got me and Ben Ingram for the 3-hour drive. Perfect. I'm locked in. And we have this tremendous performance from Bryce Elder. A guy who has experienced the highs and the lows, right?
The very, very lows.
2023 All-Star, 2024 off the main roster and in Gwinnett, and has been back and forth since then, struggling to maintain a position on that rotation and pitching very well. Pitches the game of his life. And that walk-off, like, I felt it in the pit of my soul. It hurt that bad.
And so I was at a wedding that day. That was the day of the wedding of the century.
Yeah, it was a day. You were at a wedding.
It was a day I was at a wedding, yeah. And it was almost like I was a bridesmaid. I could like feel it in my chest when it happened.
So,
and I wasn't going to keep up with the game.
Yeah.
Mikey was like, "Did you see what just happened?" I was like, "No."
Yeah. Do you know what we call that? Tim Melton behind the glass, by the way. We call that a disturbance in the force. So I'm listening. I'm locked in, Tim. But EG, she's not even listening, but she felt it. There was a disturbance in the force.
That's exactly what it's called. That is the technical term for it, yes.
Yeah, and that's our chief medical correspondent on the Pennant Grace, Tim Melton, by the way.
Thank you. Signing off.
So Sunday did not bother me, even though it was pretty much identical, because for whatever reason, I knew the Braves were going to lose that game. I just knew it. I knew it. I never felt comfortable. I fully expected San Francisco to win, and of course they did. Swept in San Francisco. which was not pleasant,
Ugly.
but a much, much, much needed win last night. Body language from the team in the dugout, cheering their teammates on. It was just really cool to see. Chris Sale was incredible. You had multiple people contribute. It wasn't tied to one inning that had to last you the whole game. There were hits throughout. A lot of positive. Ozzie Albies, Mama's favorite player, gets his 1,000th hit. So a lot to celebrate, and it was just relief more than anything for me.
Well, and I think that I love what you said about how it wasn't all one inning of work. It was consistent. It was vintage Braves. It was, this feels like a team that I know. And one thing that I do want to say that I don't think we talk about enough is that this team is incredibly resilient.
Yes.
And I know that we dog on them. And I know that, you know, the record speaks for itself. How many games below 500? 9, I guess, at this point now?
Yeah, I believe that's right. Yeah.
However, you cannot overstate the resiliency of this team. And to see that energy, it has that, you know, reminiscent, like the Braves are never out. The
I
Braves
agree.
are never out of things. Now, that used to mean, you know, a couple seasons ago, it didn't matter what the score was going to the ninth. The feeling was the Braves are going to win.
Yeah.
No matter what, the Braves will win this. Now I feel like the Braves are going to lose this. But I think that feeling I have missed so much of course the Braves are going to win. Of course they're going to produce at the plate. Of course pitching is to do what they need to do. All of these things. And this was, like I said at the beginning, most complete game the Braves have had.
I agree with that. And I don't think that's us being homers. You and I said that about the Phillies last year. We said, hey, this Phillies team ain't out of it. They'll, you know, and obviously we saw what happened there. So I said, hey, they're not out of it. We know the character of that team. I do think the Braves are one of those teams. Quinn Priester on the mound for Milwaukee tonight. I don't know if that has to do with the pecans, Priester's pecans, and he takes on Grant Holmes. That is a 6:40 p.m. Central Standard Time start as the break. Hey, 2's a streak, by the way.
2's a streak.
So we'll see if the Braves can get 2 in a row and take the series before, you know, you have a day off Thursday and then the Rockies. The timing is good to build a little positive momentum, but I'm getting way ahead of myself. That was one win. It's all about what you do tonight. Let's keep the good vibes going.
But what I said on Thursday, I said what the Braves love to do to us is they give us this beacon of hope.
Yes, and then what?
This is it again.
Then
and then
what
they
do, EG?
Rip our heart out. They rip our heart out and stomp on it.
Stomp on it.
But, I mean, dare I say I'm in the same boat. I'm thinking, okay, when you look at the schedule ahead, you have that day off. Awesome. Then you have the Rockies. Come on. Let's get some momentum going. The rest of June, you face the Mets and the Phillies. It's going to be tough. But right now is the time to build. 2's a streak. There's a lot of Braves fans here. My Texas cousins, big Braves fans, right? They have their Acuna jerseys on down at the beach. It's incredible.
Love it.
And, you know, tonight, let's get some of that momentum going. Let's see what you can do. And then you are primed to have, you know, what should be on paper a good week.
I think when they rip the heart out and dance, I think it's a Mexican hat dance, which your hat would apply to that. That would qualify. That is in the style that you could use that for a Mexican hat dance, I think.
Yeah, it's actually my grandma. She's letting me borrow it.
Oh, come on.
I mean, that might
Good
be
stuff.
obvious.
I love that. I do want to real quick just look at the 5 starters, and let's look at just their last start.
Yeah.
This will give a little perspective on our starting pitching. So Bryce Elder, again, 8 innings pitched, only 3 hits, only 1 earned run, 12 strikeouts. Grant Holmes, he did not have a very good start. He only went 3.1 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, did have 4 strikeouts. Chris Sale last night pitched like Chris Sale, looked like Chris Sale. I love him. I love his whole deal. Just what a veteran. I think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and I hope he goes in a Braves uniform. 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 earned run, and 11 strikeouts for Sale. Last game for Spencer Schwellenbach was 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, and 4 strikeouts. That'll do. And then Spencer Strider had his best start so far. 6 innings pitched for him, only 3 hits, 3 earned runs, had 5 strikeouts. That was encouraging to see from Strider. We knew it was going to take a little time, but I love our rotation. I love that you have a out of nowhere veteran guy in Holmes. You have your established ace in Sale, and then you've got 3 young. You've got
Young
2
bucks.
young guys in Elder and Strider, but then A.J. Smith-Shawver, who's on the shelf, who I think is a good chance, may not even pitch next year. We'll see, because he's getting Tommy Johns now in June, so I don't know.
I think you already had the surgery as of yesterday.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
But you know, I still think he factors, and you do too, into the future of the team. So Elder, Smith-Shawver, Strider, and Schwellenbach. That's 4 guys. Young guys. I do really like the rotation of the team, and I like the way the team played last night. Hope to see it continue tonight. How's the beach been so far, the whole experience? Big group,
Been awesome.
right?
Big group. Yeah, I've got all my Texas cousins in. Got my grandma here, and it's been so much fun because the weather's been fabulous, and my parents are loving it. My brother is here. My other brother and my niece and sister-in-law will get here tomorrow morning. So it's been awesome. The weather's perfect. The water has been fabulous. There's no seaweed. I don't know if you guys come down this time of year, but usually there's like that June grass.
Yes.
So perfect beach trip so far. Got some shopping done this morning. Had good meals. My aunt made jambalaya last night.
Oh, love it. Yeah. Like to see that.
We're having a good time. But I miss you guys so much. And I wish we could have like a Pennant Grace like satellite show from here.
Yeah. Well, you're not missing much here at home. Probably cut the grass tonight. Things like that. Millie's cooking dinner tonight. She'll miss you for that. So, so again, tonight, 6:40 first pitch, game 2 against the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll be back Thursday at 12:15 Central Standard Time. We'll be able to, and I love it. I love when our show coincides with a day off for Atlanta. So we'll be able to look at the Brewers series as a whole, look ahead to Colorado, other things that are kind of going on, not only with Atlanta, but in the NL East as well. So make plans to join us there. We are available on YouTube, on Twitter, and on podcast as well.
Yeah.
So please subscribe and like and comment and all the things. You can also find us on social media at the Pennant Grace, where E.G. mentioned, had a little post-game celebratory video last night from me. So be sure to follow us there. Keep up with all the things going on. Be sure to go to Roback.com and enter code PG20. It'll save you 20% off your entire first order. Partner, we miss you. Glad to see you, though, on video. It's the next best thing to having you here in the studio. And looking forward to catching up on Thursday.
Yep, Thursday at 12:15, guys. We will see you then.